Again, we've got, you know, 12, 13 guys who are all really good players. This is probably the deepest team that I've seen here, in terms of the number of rotational guys. Moses is a rotation player, you know, and like I said, we got 12 of them. So we have a lot of difficult decisions to make next week. And what I've learned in this league, you don't really worry about it until you have to. And we still have, I don't know, 12 days till the opener or something like that. So we'll keep working. We have a lot of things we've got to get better with and add, and hopefully it shakes itself out. But I like what a lot of these guys are doing.
We as a fan base had to apply a little pressure to Steve, right? Moody deserved to start last night. And then, I mean, if you really listen to what Kerr said there, he said Moody's a rotational player, but we got 12 rotational players, so there's going to be some tough decisions. But hey, Moses seized his opportunity last night, 23 points, baseline bully, right? When he gets baseline, he uses his length in an interesting way. Pause. But, when you think of a guy, he's long, it's either like with defense or they play above the rim, right? But he uses it to kind of extend and finish below the rim, but he can create angles to finish that guys with normal wingspans can't, right? And then he's just so naturally physical. And so I think Moses has impressed me. He's finishing at the rim better than I would expect him to. He's naturally physically strong. He's getting to the line, and he loves driving that baseline. He's still not shooting the three ball like we expect him to, right? He was 2 of 6 last night. To me, when I see Moses, I think he's a volume guy. He's a natural hungry scorer, and he needs volume. We've watched Clay for so many years have these slumps, right? Where you watch Clay for 1 week, 2 weeks sometimes, you're like, dude, he can't shoot if you didn't know anything about Clay, right? But he was always given the volume to eventually find his stroke and get into rhythm. Moody has never gotten the volume to really get going. And I have a feeling that if he gets enough minutes, he'll have nights where he hits 5 and 6 threes. He's kind of a streaky shooter in that way, but we haven't let him get hot that way. As positive as the offensive side of the ball has been defensively, still not seeing him move laterally like I want him to and just take the right angles. And it's something that I preach to my daughter because she's so reactionary defensively. She's a good athlete, so she just kind of reacts to what happens and she can usually hang. But it's like you got to at least sit on what the guy's naturally going to do, meaning most basketball players are going to rip through to their right, unless obviously they're a lefty. But generally speaking, both he and Kuminga, it's kind of like they're playing a guessing game. It's very hard to defend when you have no idea what you want to take away. And so I'd still like to see him just simplify his movements laterally defensively. Just slide. Don't start to turn and open up. Because I slowed down. Today's breakdown is out now on Patreon. Heck, I'll even make it free. So you can join my Patreon as a free member and check this one out to see what you'll be getting if you sign up. But I slowed down. There was he was in front of, I think it was Keegan Murray in the corner. And as Keegan rips through right, instead of just sliding, his first motion is to open up his hip. And then Keegan takes the baseline. So defensively, both Kuminga and Moody, I'm not seeing what I would like to see, at least early on. And to be fair, I think it's much harder to train defense in the offseason. One, you're not around a lot of NBA talent. Guys are spread out all over the place, right? And it's just a harder thing to teach rather than the reps of the offense. But the positive is that both of their offense of games look like they've taken a step. Again, Moody just finishing and being aggressive, and he needs that volume. I'm not saying he's going to get it, but I do think if you played Moody 25 minutes a night, I don't know how he would get those minutes on this roster, but the three ball would start to climb and he'd get comfortable and he'd have nights like Clay where it was like, oh, he hit 6 of them. He was 6 of 6. The next night, maybe he's 2 of 6, right? But I think part of because I get some pushback from y'all, some of y'all in the comments, like, why y'all love Moody so much? Why are you so pressed about getting Moody his opportunity? It's not just the potential that we see in him and that he was a lottery pick. You know, there's an investment in him, but he's really easy to root for, right? He's a guy that's really easy to root for, and so you want it for him because he comes in and what's the saying? Chop wood and carry water, right? Like that is Moses Moody. Listen to his post game about the 23-point night.
I didn't play as much as I wanted to last year, so I obviously wasn't in the place to where I needed to be. So over the summer, like I've been saying, just put a lot of work in on the small things, the details. So I put a lot of work in over the summer. So training camp is your first opportunity to really showcase that work. So that's just my mentality of it. I'm not even necessarily looking for the gratification this early on. You see how it go, but I did the work. So, it'll show.
Yeah, man, it's just easy to root for Moses, right? That is a part of the equation. Let's talk about Kuminga here. Let's talk about Kuminga and the hezzy pull-up threes. Last video I was talking about, he needs to be, there's a certain type of three ball that you want Kuminga to take. And to be fair, this wasn't not what I was talking about, right? He is squared up. He was squared up, but these off the dribble threes, and even he had one in the mid-range where it was like, oh, like if he's going to start to take and make those comfortably, I don't know what you're going to do with him. And he is so sudden, right? There's a rhythm. I said on Twitter last night, I was like, his rhythm is kind of fast. I don't think fast is the right word, but there's like a suddenness to his rhythm and his movements. And a lot of the time when you're trying to shoot off the bounce out of these sudden moves, he's so explosive, it's harder to get on balance and gather up and pick up the ball. We talked about this hand placement on his release, right? When you're this bursty nuclear athlete, it's harder to control. It's like driving a sports car. And so to see him with these sudden movements and still have a clean pickup into his shot, yeah, like it's coming along quicker than I thought. Now, if you told me at 25 or 26 years old, Kuminga was shooting smoothly dribble threes, pull up threes, I'd be like, okay, yeah, but I didn't think it was going to happen this quickly. And so I think we all understand what that means, right? It speaks to his work ethic and the reps that he got in. But just like Moses defensively and on the glass, he is rebounding better, but he doesn't instinctually box out. He still misses a lot of box out. Sacramento had 16 offensive rebounds last night. But the key phrase for Kuminga is stay ready so you ain't got to get ready defensively. And it's almost like you see this with a lot of young players and kids where they're coming down, it's transition, right? And he's picking up his guy. He wants to wait for the guy to like grab the ball and be like, all right, are you ready? Like defend me and I'm going to try to score. And then he like gets down to his stance. No. When you look at elite perimeter defenders like a GP2 or a Marcus Smart, they're always in the pounce position. They're always with their hips loaded and wide, so they're ready to react and cut angles off. And too many times Kuminga is late. He's trying to get ready to defend and it's too late. Either the guy's turning the corner or they're quick attacking. And so that's just, it's something that's got to get better. But yeah, both Moses and JK offensively look better than I expected. I won't even say that about Moses. I'm just happy that Moses is getting his opportunity. He's surprising me with his finishing ability. But yeah, the Kuminga off the dribble stuff, yeah. We talk about taking a step, the next step, that would be a leap if that continues. Now, if you do follow me on Twitter at Uncle Alchemy, I'll put the link in the. Now, if you do follow me on Twitter at Uncle Alchemy, I was kind of crashing out about Steph. And if you've been following me a while, you know that I do that. I'll overreact. I fully admit I overreact to injuries. I don't know what it is about it, but it's like, I immediately think the worst. Maybe I'm preparing for the worst. That being said, we know about hand injuries. We got to remind you, when was it? Did Nurkic fall on him? Who was it? It was some big dude fell on Steph in 20, right? That 20 season. But a lot of the time in the NBA, when a guy, it can happen on the rim, it jammed up between players or whatever, however it happens, you'll see them, they'll shake their hand, they look at their hand, right? And they continue to play. And then the next day you hear so-and-so broke their hand and you're like, oh my goodness, right? And so when Steph starts shaking out his shooting hand, yeah, I'm gonna overreact. I'm gonna overreact. And I was thinking about it. There's only one other guy in all of team sports that if they're hurt, it's like catastrophic news. There's only one other guy, and it's Pat Mahomes, right? It's Pat Mahomes and Steph Curry. There's no other guy where it's like, oh, like that's what is like, I mean, I guess you could throw out like LeBron would make headlines, but I don't know how much it would affect the Lakers as much as it would affect Steph and the Warriors or Pat and the Chiefs, right? So he is shaking his hand out. He gets it jammed up. First off, Steph and Draymond were in elite preseason mode. Like they did not want to be there on a Friday night. It was very clear. They're throwing the ball all over the place. Would we have 24 turnovers? Now, granted, some of it is you've got a lot of different weird rotations and guys that haven't played together. You saw the inbounds where Kyle Anderson threw to Buddy in the corner and he threw up that one-footed bomb and hit it. And you're like, what is Buddy doing? He was gonna run out of bounds. He wasn't ready to catch the pass, turning the corner, but Slow-Mo had thrown it in like a beat early. And so he was like, oh, I'm about to fall out of bounds, and he threw it up. And it was just little examples of like that where some of the turnovers happened. But at the same time, I think we know this is who we are. We are going to be a high volume turnover team, especially pushing the pace in transition. But Steph was throwing the ball all over the place. He was playing loosey-goosey, and it just didn't seem like he or Draymond were very engaged. You can't blame him. I understand that, right? But at a certain point, and I get they need the chemistry in the run, it's like, then why be out there? Because that's what tends to happen. When you're going half speed and you're playing nonchalant and casual, it throws your timing off, and your body isn't ready for contact. And sure enough, Steph jams his finger. X-rays were negative. While I was crashing out at halftime, he didn't show up in the second half. He wasn't even on the bench. So I'm like, yo, this is not 2020 all over again. So very grateful for that, right? But yeah, if Steph and Draymond are disinterested in this, then I'd rather them not play. That's how I feel about it. But all in all, another victory, despite the turnovers. I thought Kerr was spot on saying we probably didn't play well enough. We didn't deserve to win. But again, when you shoot the three ball, it's not like we shot a ton of them. We only shot 34 of them. And I think that that's also what's intriguing about this Moses-Kuminga combination. If these guys hit their stride at just the perfect time, they're also the perfect contrast to all the snipers and all the three-point shots. People are nervous. Oh, we can't shoot 53s a game. That's crazy. Both Moses and Kuminga are getting to the line. They get to the line. Kuminga, because he is a nuclear athlete, and Moody, because you want to talk about selling your body out downhill, he will swan dive. He's getting that whistle. So it's a perfect contrast to the rest of the roster. But yeah, defensively, transition defense, staying ready so you ain't got to get ready and stuff like that. Size, 16 rebounds. We have issues. I don't want to sit here and say like, oh, here we come. It's championship time. Like, no. But it's the time of the year where we can all be optimistic, right? And they haven't shown us reason not to be. You've got a lot of depth, right? And a lot of young guys, not even just the young guys. It seems like we have a lot of players at just the right phase in their careers. Buddy Hield has bounced around a little bit, right? And been disappreciated. Is that a word, right? But, it's like, all right, well, maybe I'll do a little more here defensively. I'm playing in an environment that I have so much fun in. DeAnthony Melton on the Dante type of deal, right? Kyle Anderson, right? There are interesting spots in their career where you may be getting them in their primes, and then you got Moody and Kuminga hitting their stride. Lindy, the chances are what I'm getting at is I think we're going to have several players that overachieve this year, and we know that that's what we need to be competitive in the Western Conference. They've got the Pistons Sunday evening. I don't expect to see Steph, even though it's just a finger. If he doesn't want to be out there, don't be out there. We know he's going to be in shape. Draymond's another issue, or, when it comes to that. But, yeah, probably too many preseason games. But I'm sure Kerr would disagree because he's got to figure out these rotations. But I expect we've played 3. We've got 3 more. We'll see more Quentin Post, Reese Beekman, Kevin Knox, Guy Santos. And the battle for the end of this roster will really begin in the final 3 preseason games. You know where to find the coverage. Right here on YouTube. And if you want the full breakdown, the real stuff, head over to my Patreon. As always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.